appointment that came up at the last minute. Which is good, because now we don't have to do the executive session. And that brings up the agenda. How about you, Tom? Any changes?
No. Did you let Braden know we were having an executive session?
And Kevin?
I have none.
Okay. No minutes either, I don't believe. Okay, Commissioner items. It'd be hard to believe if you had anything real significant. Tom, you got anything between yesterday and today?
No.
How about you?
Nope.
Me either. Well, yeah, you do. You got a water problem.
Well, I do. I did.
Significant.
I had a message on the phone last night and tried to return the call, but did not make connections. I think it's runoff issues
A lot of
on
that.
Rosita Road somewhere.
Well, that's good to know. We're on top of it. Right.
We're working on it. Yes.
All right. I don't have anything either, so thank you. And the attorney, the acting attorney, would you have anything to say back there?
No, all is quiet.
Okay. That's the same report we always get.
All is legal.
All is legal. All right, thank you. As I mentioned yesterday, we're glad to have Tina back on the job, but she's only here twice a week on Tuesdays and Thursdays in the morning. So today we've got Jordan sitting in.
I don't have anything for you.
Okay, thanks. Public comment. Anybody have something they want to bring up? Here? No? We got an extra visitor on now, looks like. We'll introduce people if they have other comments. Okay. Staff reports, Mr. Legree.
It's short and sweet.
Yeah.
Well, be a good first.
That'd be a good first. Yeah.
Going to Hawaii soon?
Well, hopefully we wear our summer shirts.
Wear it often,
Attire,
you'll end up
the
waking
weather
up being there.
Yeah.
I think that should be a standard for everyone who gives a report.
It will force the weather to be nice.
Yeah, boy, it's work today.
Yeah. Okay, fuel sales for April, 508 gallons.
Well,
For a revenue of 1904.64.
Good.
And we do have a fuel load coming because we're down to like 1,000 gallon or less. So,
Good. Good.
yeah.
sweet.
Takes care of that. Lavenue's hangar is up and just waiting on doors, I believe. But as far as any other new hangars going at this point, there are none. So we'll see how spring and summer go with that.
You ready for us to come out and make hamburgers for us?
I think it'd be great. When is that? Next month? 2 months?
19th, I think.
How about the 19th of this month?
Oh, yes, we'll be ready.
You better go kill that cow.
You got a 2-week notice. Kill the cow.
Oh, and we did talk about it at our meeting, but who knows what month
in
we're
June and July too, but
right.
Yeah, and keep making them as well as they do.
Right.
We'll be out.
Okay.
So you had a workshop. Want to tell us about it?
We had a workshop on this new quote on this 12,000 gallon tank. It is 65 some. Can't get it to come up at the moment. So let's see.
I can look here real quick.
Yeah, I got it. 65. This says 67,346. But I think Bob said their last talk it was 65. How they got it to that or not.
Better.
Yeah.
Getting there where it should be.
He did email me this morning. They sent him another quote that included everything, which we don't want. The QT pod reader and the
Yeah, you don't need all that.
pump and everything.
100 or so.
Yeah, 130 some.
That's crazy, but we get them down to the plumbing part. Maybe.
Yeah,
Might be
well,
worth it.
if we go with this 67, and actually get a contract and ready to go with it, then we have to do all the plumbing and the wiring for the equipment, and which Bob says is easily done.
Can't be
So,
too bad.
Right.
Good, well, beats a big can and a siphon hose.
Oh, yeah, that and his email with them this morning. Now they're looking at 135 if we don't do something.
Yeah, we gotta get going. I should talk to Pilot on with BOCC, and we'll get back with them and we'll try to leverage them setting that other tank.
Yeah.
And
So-
see if they make one package out of it.
Does this pad then, with that thought in mind, this pad we're going to put in for this avgas tank,
Got a plan for the future, make it.
should it be big
Make it
enough
big
to
enough.
do so that
Yeah. So
Might
see what that
require some more
additional
funds
price is gonna
then,
be.
yeah.
See what it is.
Won't come down to money, doesn't it?
Yeah.
unfortunately?
Yeah, I mean, they're pouring it already. See what the price is gonna be. So we gotta know.
So I double it.
Try to tag it on.
Good. So we're going to put it out there on the south end of the ramp
Mhm.
where the future growth would be. Future plans that have been drawn up. So we'll move it all out there.
Mhm. Good. Well, let me know as soon as you can, and then we'll see what, if we can double the size of the
Okay.
tanks.
Well,
Or double the buy on the tanks.
if you guys are good to move forward, then I will get a hold of Bob later and tell him to have him send us a contract. And
Yeah, this was less money than the other tank was.
Yeah, it was.
I think it was 74.
Yeah,
I don't know why it'd be an issue.
there's no issue here.
Okay. All right. All right.
74 didn't include the pad to set it on.
Right.
So you got
And
some
neither
extra
does
money
the
there, and that'll help.
67.
Yeah.
Um,
There may be a way of still using some of the money from the AWAS. There's a couple thousand.
And we're still waiting on that
Leverage.
sign off from the FAA on that. So,
But I hear it working.
It's
I can
working.
Pick it up on my handheld at home.
yeah, and anybody can get on that phone number
Get local weather anyway.
to get your weather out there.
Once you, what's the frequency? 119, 2.
Yeah, the frequency is 119275, but for anybody else that might want to
Phone number.
just call. Let's see. The only problem with it that I have is, and I'm a pilot, is that it's always in Celsius and not the wind and the
Can
temperature.
reset it. They'll fix it.
I don't know if they can.
They
Can they
can,
do that?
yeah.
Make it Fahrenheit and for us. I'm not a sailor, so I'm not snow. Okay, the number is 783-3544. And that's your Silver West AWAS. And it gives you the wind and temperature and
Cloud cover. and
cloud
everything else.
cover and stuff going on down south. So,
Yeah, they should be able to reset them. No, but
I
of course, Celsius is what every international guy uses.
know, but like it says, hillbilly, but I'm not a European, so Celsius doesn't mean that much to me. And I'm not a sailor, so knots don't either. So, but it's my
All right,
own.
anything else there?
That's it,
How's
bud.
the rent going? You got them all rented?
Oh, yeah, everything's full out there. So those new T hangars, there's aircraft in every one of those, and all the others are got aircraft in
A
them.
friend of mine that came out really tickled with that T hanger.
And I guess there's talk of 5 more. So, but we'll see.
Okay.
That's all I got, guys.
Well, good, perfect.
All right.
I don't have any questions.
Nothing from me, anything from you, Kevin? More?
No,
All right.
thank you
So-
very much.
We better get thinking about a hamburger cookout.
Yeah, you better do more than.
And none of these frozen hamburgers out of the box either.
I know a meat processor that can help you
I
figure
think we
it
can round up some ground beef somewhere.
out.
Good seeing you.
Thank you.
Take
Yeah,
care.
talk later.
By golly, let the record show.
All right, would our new director step forward? You're up.
I'm up.
Perfect time.
Looking very nice today.
Thank you very much. You all as well.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Who's the tie
so
contest
By
today?
golly,
Tie contest.
after
He's good. Is that a different division, that contest?
Yes,
Well, he competes too. He sometimes.
When you're the only one in the division, you always
You always win.
When Fred's here though, sometimes
That's
he
the way to
We
goes
should
around.
have seen Braden's face. Just look at it. Thank you.
Oh,
So
goodness.
after, I think, 16 years, new individual in that chair for the finance report.
Pretty big deal.
Yeah.
Well,
And he's learning. I don't envy him at all.
learning lots.
Learning, seeing the
Learning
brains be
lots.
racked over there.
Yeah.
So what can you say today?
What can I say? Well, I wanted to talk about the transition mainly, and then answer any other questions that you have. But CIC transition has been going really good. Just kind of working through where we were at, which you guys are very familiar with, but so the audience and the folks at home know that, 1987, we've been working on this system, and CIC is taking us into the 21st century. So we currently have been doing floppy disk backup. So we've got
We still have a floppy disk.
we
reader?
still have floppy disk readers and writers.
I can't
So-
believe it.
You should put that up on a shelf somewhere because
Let's make a museum.
Yeah,
Are these the big ones or the little?
no, it is. We've gotten a little better. Yeah, this is
Got smaller.
the not actual floppy disks.
Yeah,
So, handwritten calculations and just what seems to be a lot of redundant steps. I think Vernon did a really great exercise, I guess, in asking the treasurer, like, hey, if I gave you $20, how many times, what happens to it to get to the end? And somewhere between 12 and 16 times a number is entered. And so, when you're looking at 4 digits, that's, that's one thing. But when we're looking at $10,000 going through, that's a lot of digits that can be transposed
mistake.
several times over.
It happens.
and sometimes inaccurately. huh?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So kudos to him for finding that out. And CIC, I think, we're eliminating a lot of those steps through CIC and in different changes that we're going to make in our department. But so where we're at now, the transition's been great. I really think this was perfect timing at the end of the day. It's one person might ask, if with new people coming in and kind of learning everything to begin with, and then having a conversion on top of that and an audit here before too long. While that might seem overwhelming, I think it's great timing overall, because those are all interfacing with each other, and that's allowing me to, not learn too much about the old system.
Just enough to get rid of it.
Just enough to get rid of it. So Vernon did a great job with closing out March. And so he knew the finance side of the old system and was able to get that done. And then when Mark with CIC came in to train, he came in and worked just with Vernon and Barbie on the finance side of things. That was the first part of training. So we were able to do all of April in the new system for accounts payable. Meanwhile, I was just working on the old system, figuring out payroll. So we were able to split that load and really,
He's the guy
Blast through.
that was wandering around.
Yes,
here for all day.
yeah, that was
So I
hard.
didn't meet him. I talked to him, but I didn't.
Yeah, I got the name.
Yeah.
Seemed like a good guy.
Yeah, he has been doing a great job. So,
So how long is that going to continue? Are you getting more one-on-one with him, or is it all
Yeah.
over?
he's off this week, and then he will be back next week for 3 weeks.
Wow, and he's from CIC.
He's from CIC. He lives up in,
Seattle,
northeast Kansas.
Kansas.
Hutchinson, Kansas. Is that right?
That'd be almost mid-east. Hutchinson is on 50.
Oh, no, that's wrong then. I'm wrong.
Hayes is there.
Yeah.
I only know because I traveled through it going to Branson a few times.
Yeah. Northeast. I know it's north of Kansas City, kind of up there in the near Nebraska area. So he's got quite a drive when he comes
Ways
out.
away.
But he's done a really good job. It's been great working with him. So everything's really moving well. We start that next week. We'll start payroll training. And so everything should be pretty well closed off with the ACS system for the finance and HR side of things. I would love, I need to revisit our side of the contract. It sounds like assessor and treasurer's office it was through 6 months for ACS. I would love to cut us off a month if for some reason we were on a separate month-to-month schedule and maybe save a little money. But it's sounding like we're probably on the same contract as the other two departments.
So, yeah.
So
Why would it be different? How did that happen?
well, I don't think it is. I was trying to, once I found out we were moving quicker to get onto the new system, the treasurer's office was moving a little bit quicker, and I know JD needed it for some stuff through the end of June. But I was hoping that maybe we could have some cost savings in there, but they've since said that it was a 6-month contract. And we were just paying it month to month. So
Seemed like in January, when we talked about this big transition, it was years down the road. Here it's next month.
Yeah.
Yep.
So on that note, though, if we are on the tied in on that 6 month, it might be beneficial anyway if these hidden snares pop up. For them to be able
Yeah, well, they're
to
here.
help us through that. Or
Yeah.
at least we'd be getting some bang for our buck there that way if
Yeah.
some of those showed up.
yeah, for sure. And I think that's I think we could have been done probably at the end of this or at the end of April on the finance side if we wanted to. I think this month has been this will be a good just in case we need to go and pull reports or something that we didn't have from the old system. So I think it'll end up working out.
So you and I were talking about pay cycles.
Right.
Are they able to sync them up now or
That's what we will do.
all three
Yep.
system?
Yeah, that's what we want to do. It's just how there's some practical things that we have to do on an individual basis to get to that point. So that'll be some of the discussion in the workshop.
Good.
And I've got some suggestions as far as that goes and laying out some different options as far as that goes too. So we'll discuss that in more detail then.
Okay.
But moving forward, that's as far as, that's where we were. This is where we are. As far as CIC, where we're heading. Cleaner reports, you've already seen that. Those are, I feel like, a lot easier to read. Just having to go back through some of the other reports myself, it is tough to line things up and know what's talking about.
Yeah, they
what.
never lined up underneath the headers.
Very impractical. So I hope that's been a good transition so far.
One thing I had looked at, and probably because Donna had pointed it out to me on the old reports, was percentage-wise where something was in regards to their total budget, and you could kind of compare that to where we were. Say if you were 4 months in and you were already at 60% of your budget, is that something we need to look at or not? And I did not see that on this one. I don't know if that's something.
It's a separate document.
That's a separate document. Okay. So
Have you seen those docs yet?
Well,
We talked
we've
about-
talked, no, I've not seen the old documents.
I'll give you a copy.
Yeah.
so that's on a different report than that we were getting.
Okay.
Just came out separately a week or so after.
Which in some instances that was beneficial. Others, it's it didn't have much meaning because you might have a lot of outlay early on in the year to say purchase the bulk of whatever you need to do, and then the rest of the year you're a lot less. So it shows up, say in February, you're already at 75% of your budget, which didn't necessarily present a problem there, but in some instances, if you're at 75% in February, then you better start looking at cutting some things. So.
Yeah. One of the things we did talk about in that side of things. So departments will have access now to be able to see where they're at, and as opposed to us sending them a report month to month. They will be able to see this is exactly where they're at in their accounts. And in fact, they can even put in encumbered money for their department. So that way, that kind of percentage thing, where if you've got your 75% in February, that might make sense for a particular department. They've got something that's going on in January, February, but they also have the things, those other things in October and November that they do every year already accounted for. And so they know truly they've got this amount left for that account. So I think there's going to be really good transparency. I think is what it comes down to, of this is how much money I actually have if people are taking the time to put in exactly what they're spending, which we will do that, of course, with invoices, but then also the encumbered, like this is what we're expecting to spend for this project down in October, sort of thing. So that's something I think will be a huge help to departments as far as that goes.
Little different note. From my talking to people, basically all the coding is changing, but everybody's going to have the same coding, so everybody's talking the same language.
Correct.
On this new system.
So what that's looked like in the past is there's actually been two sets of books in the county. The treasurer's office has had one set of books and the finance office has had another set of books. And so those accounts have to match up somehow at the end of the day, at least on our end, it has to. And so there were accounts that we would then have a key that we would be able to draw from one account to the other, that this is, okay, this particular number corresponds to this particular number for us. We would have to go in and hand do that from one side to the other. And then there were some cases where the treasurer's office would put miscellaneous. And then we would play, where does it go?
What department it goes to.
And try to apply it to one of our accounts because theirs wasn't as detailed as what we had. So now with us switching over to having the same accounts, we'll be able to break down miscellaneous into this is what it is. And as opposed to that redundancy, I don't see the need for that work, that extra work that's happening there. We talked with the auditor while he was here. He came up and I got to meet Sam and Nancy, and they started to show me kind of what the information was that I needed to start getting to them.
They needed
Preliminary before their visit here at the end of the month, in the beginning of next month. And during that, we had a meeting with the treasurer's office, and then also with the trainers that were here from CIC to make sure we were doing this right. If there wasn't any, we were doing everything legal at the end of the day. We were getting everything in that we needed to. And there was, I think, some confusion as to possibly needing two books because of the auditor. And the auditor had kind of squashed that. And that, no, we don't need two separate books. We just need one. This will make a lot more sense to do it this way. And so we'll have to change some things. Currently, it's broken down from fund, department, and account. So there's some things we might have to shift to where there's more funds. Right now we have 10 funds. There's some more funds for the treasurer's office that are in there. So that way we're making sure everything works.
everything's on one book, basically.
One book. Yep. Everything's in. Anything that they put in the system on their end, we don't have to put in on our end. They put it in, we see where it's at, and that's all good to go.
Good. You can move it as required.
Yeah. And one of the things I think there's been a disservice to the treasurer's office in that it sounds to me as though there have been times where people bring in invoices and just expect them to know where it goes. And so talking with the trainers, a way around that to help with that process, which we should be doing, is some sort of cover letter akin to the voucher system that a department would say, okay, this is exactly what this fund needs to go into. Here it is. Right. They cut the receipt and everything's good to go. But I think that's where the miscellaneous fund kind of got out of hand is they
Know what to
just
do with
didn't know
it.
what
They
to
just
do with
dumped
it. Yeah. And so I think to put that onus back on whoever's bringing it in
Right.
is going to be, I think that's where they're moving, but I know that
That's
was
if
a
they know
suggestion.
there's enough ways that they understand where to put it
Yeah.
before they get there.
So when they enter it in over here on their side, their system, I guess it's gonna be the same system.
Same
So
system.
when they enter it in here, it's in yours.
Yep.
And you can see that.
And if we needed to
See.
balance right then, we could balance right then.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think that's been a good move. I think there is a lot of just trying to figure out how this actually plays out and trying to separate, this is the way we've done it to this is what needs to actually happen still. So they've been good in working. We've been good working together on that, I think.
That's great.
The backup system, cloud and hard drive both, or?
Yeah, Vernon might be better person to answer these questions, but there is a server that all of this goes through and a VIN, I think. So more secure. So yeah, that everything should be secured back up on their end. And then we've also got access to that. So they've got
that's
it in
their
two
part of the
places.
contract overall. Do they have the cloud, or CIC doing that?
I believe so. Yeah.
Okay. If there's an issue with it, we know who to call.
Right. Yeah. And there, from what I understand, there's at least two places where that's backed up. So if one were to fail, we still have access to the other.
And what's the schedule for the auditor?
The auditor is going to come in the last week of May. And I had suggested them coming in at least a couple days during that time because the trainers will still be here. So if there's anything that we need to work out as far as a specific report that needs to be pulled, they can help and facilitate that. And then I think the brunt of the work or the the basement work essentially will be that next week, that first week of June. So we haven't totally scheduled that out, but he did say that he thought it would be a good idea to be here that last week of May to coincide with the trainer to make sure we can get them what they need.
So actual audit would actually be the first week of June.
I believe so.
Okay.
Yeah. He's
It's
got to
good
make
that
sure that
everybody's
works.
kind of working together on that. So,
Yeah.
so that
Plenty.
so that when, not if, but when there's something that comes up, they can all work together.
That's good. Yep, for sure.
How's your assistant?
Great. Yeah, everything's been great. I haven't had to do much. She's come in and she's taken the bull by the horns and so everything, I mean, AP, she sat there and entered in the, 400 some vouchers or whatever we have and just ran with it. So she's been doing great.
Good, glad to hear it.
And
we
she's
keep
doing
her
a
in-
good job of redecorating.
Yeah, we keep her in a cell, but it's not because
You haven't locked the door yet.
yeah, exactly.
So I wanted to throw this out, this probably as good time as any, about maybe looking at relocating these guys. That is criminal to put an assistant back there in a cell.
No pun intended.
Yeah, I wonder if we couldn't talk to all the powers to be and see about relocating them upstairs into that copy room. I don't know where else. I've talked to Jackie and talked to Donna, and if we could find a place to set that copier, even if it was out in the hallway. But maybe we could get them both in there and the copier, but it'd be a little disruption, everybody running in there.
Maybe.
The postage machine, that's really all that's in there. It's critical, right? The shredder and.
Not a bad idea. Probably ought to wait though until they're settled in.
Yeah, I
You
just
gotta
think
figure-
it
but
would,
that's a great idea.
it would take a while, but that's just not right.
I think
See, the clerk's office is a nice spot.
Well, they've got some room.
Yeah, we have lots of room.
They're actually going into the treasurer's office to get all their copies. That's
Everybody is.
yeah, we're pretty short on room for everything around here.
Actually, we ought to get some printers too. That's not, it's worth investing in some printers. I think.
On the surface, Kelly, what, do you see any big obstacles?
With upstairs? No, I mean, you just have to. That copier's, I think that copier upstairs has been out in the hallway. Zoning used to be in that.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, I talked
And
to
they
Vern
had
a
two
little
people
about
in
it.
there at one point. I mean, the only other place, like I said, is be over at the annex. But
Yeah, yeah, and we talked about that some too. I'd like to see him stay in this building just for
Continuity.
convenience, not having to trudge across that parking lot and street in the
Right.
wintertime. And I did have a little conversation with Vernon about the IT side of that, and I thought we can ask him when he comes in, but didn't think that would be a deal breaker. So I don't know. Who would make those decisions, those kind of decisions? Would it be the four of us?
Or
About
more,
where
it depends
they-
on where you go to. You're gonna have to get a team together to look at the pros and cons of wherever a couple options might be.
What's your thoughts on it?
I had heard something about maybe going up into the copy room up there, that it's not a ton bigger than that front office in there right now. My big concern for the immediate future would be all those files and having
Right.
those close
all the
by.
stuff that's in the background.
All the things that are in cell
Yeah.
block 2.
Right.
Are
Yeah, I think it would all have to go.
What about your idea when you were gonna add on to that west end?
Yeah, I never really pursued that hard because of the money. It'd be 400,000 or 500,000 to add on, I'm suspecting, in this day and age, and I just don't know where that money come from. So that's why I kind of gave up on that.
That's the,
Now, I was talking that would be clear to the end of the building, just to add on another 20 feet or something, which is a consideration to expand Braden's office to the west by however many feet, 16, 20 feet. Money. This move upstairs wouldn't cost us much. And I wasn't really anticipating anything till late summer or early fall or whatever, whenever it would be appropriate. We wouldn't want to do it right now. That'd be a train
and
wreck.
some of the room, this new system ought to cut down on a lot of paper.
Yeah.
And so.
And there's a lot that's been,
Streamline some things.
there's been a lot that's kept in there too that I want to get a hold of a good retention policy, because we've got paperwork that we don't need to have.
Nobody's ever gonna look at it again.
Yeah.
Try to figure out what that is.
Yeah, exactly. So that's, and kind of the last point that I wanted to make about where we're going is that I think we will be done with vouchers. We will not need vouchers anymore, because everything will be moving towards a batch invoice system. The departments will be able to put in.
Yeah.
It's going to be the same amount of work for the departments because they're already typing in everything for the voucher. And so they just put it into this new system, and then they send us the physical invoice, but they're going to scan that in too. But so workflow wise, the physical invoices would come over to the finance department. We'd just spot check, make sure everything looks right. And then it'll be ready to go into the system, but we'll always have a digital copy moving forward in that system instead of having to run into Kelly's office and into the back and pull out that voucher and everything.
So
So
everybody's doing it. Banks are making you go digital.
Oh, let me
Saying
take
you
you to
stay.
the basement, Braden. Have you seen your stuff down there?
yes, I did see that just last week. The basement's really cool.
Just the storage,
It's cool.
Yeah.
just the storage of those vouchers over the years take up a lot of space.
Yeah, there
And
must
they're
be.
hard to go through.
Yeah, don't get into Vernon's section over there. You'll make all the phones and everything go.
Yeah.
Well, good.
So yeah.
Sounds encouraging.
Yeah.
Sounds like it's.
Gonna be great.
I'm really excited for it. Like I said, I think this was perfect timing. I thank you guys for pursuing this and running for checking into it and making sure all this is working out right. This, I think, is going to be a huge move. Good move.
Sounds like a plan. Just don't let Vernon know you get a bigger office.
Yeah.
The next thing you know, he'll want.
Unfortunately, he's sitting out here in the office,
Yeah.
but, or in the hallway.
Oh, darn, he heard.
We
me.
don't, we're not as concerned about IT as we are.
No.
Right.
These guys have.
Oh, wait.
Just get rid of Jackie.
Wait.
Get rid of Jackie.
Yeah, we get rid of Jackie, we'd be,
Move her up.
She's gone right now, so she can't.
yeah, that's
I
right.
find out this comes back. Where's my desk? It's upstairs.
Well, there was some discussion about relocating her office too, but the problem with that annex is the location of it, even though it's fairly close.
Going across there in the wintertime, you don't need to. It's gonna be a pain.
So for anybody, you know, you or Jackie. But- And then we have to deal with the squalling for VSOs. We started infringing upon their
We can put
God-given space over there,
them
right?
over here.
Well, I'll nose around a little more. I'll get some square footage upstairs and we can compare it. And
You know, one thing that you might think about, I'll probably get in trouble for saying this, but the UPS office that they use up there, they only use that
Once a day. Once a
But
not
boy,
even
it
once
is.
a day, not very often. And if you could split, you know, where they can actually have both that copy room
Oh.
and that office.
Maybe put
No
one
reason
in
why
one, one
not.
in the other and be
Could do that.
UPS somewhere else.
Yeah. Maybe you could put UPS over where he's at now.
Good point.
I know the lady that works up there, so I can ask and see if that.
Oh, yeah. Don't tell her I said
Yeah, I
anything.
won't say anything.
She just walked by when I said that. I was like, oh, don't.
Kelly wants to take your
Yeah.
office.
Yeah.
Step in here, please. Kelly's under the bus.
Do you, as far as all those files go, do you access those daily?
Yes,
Okay, so they need to be pretty handy.
for now, for sure. There's like the personnel files and stuff that I would like to move to where it's all digital and all accessible there. That would be, save a ton of time for me running back and forth.
Yeah.
That's a huge thing, but just being able to search a file as opposed to go and search for a
Tear your
file.
cuticles up
Yeah.
digging through.
Yeah,
Well,
exactly.
Kelly's got a ton of money for converting stuff to digital, so I'll bet you she'd be willing to share some of that. They got that down pat. You've been doing that for how many years?
What now? 5.
So, yeah, I think you're right on. I mean, we, in this day and age, to go down into the safe and dig up those vouchers to try to find one line on one voucher from 1 year is insanity, man. It's just brutal, so. Versus search.
Right.
Yeah.
And I don't know, if this is a Clint question or a Kelly question or whose question it is, but, what needs to be publicly
Right.
accessible? And can we just have a computer terminal where people can go in and search if they want to, as opposed to keeping those paper vouchers?
Depends, that's right. Not a bad
That
idea.
may be an auditor question too. I'm assuming the 7-year thing holds to counties, but I don't really know that.
See, we have a retention schedule for the clerks. I'll look on that website that we use and see if there's one for the treasurer there.
Okay.
And I know that about once every 6 months, we get a core request for finance stuff, and Vernon usually just pulls it off the computer and sends it to them. I don't know that too many people have, to me, if you've got it on the computer or you've got it in a box, as long as somebody that wanted to look at it could look at it, I don't think it matters that it's in hard copy, or
Right.
as long as you can save it however long you have to save things.
Yeah. That's what I was seeing as I was digging around a little bit, was that they didn't care in what format you kept it. It was just as long as you
As
did.
long as you have.
You got access to it.
Yeah, exactly.
And I'm getting ready to do a big shredding again, and we hire a company from, I think they're out of Pueblo. And Donna usually would tag on that. And so I'll get with you and you can decide what, like a lot of the stuff in the basement that could maybe go.
Well, every year, there ought to be a year's worth of stuff to get rid of,
Mhm.
coming off the other end.
Get that put together in your spare time.
Will do.
Okay.
All right, got anything else?
Don't think so. I just was going to ask if there's anything else that you all would like to
You think
hear on a more regular
Kind of
basis.
wandered over.
No, I'll bring it up when I do the
Okay.
IT report here in a few minutes.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
if there's anything that you guys would like to see on a regular basis from.
I'd like to see you find another $1 million.
Well, I will look. There very well could be in those file cabinets back there. There's a lot.
There may be something.
Yeah.
Maybe it's in gold bullion.
Right.
If you find it, it might be better for everybody to just keep it.
Yeah. Whoops.
Spend it however you
Sure,
want.
That's all right. I
Yeah,
have
you
no
can
problem
deal with
keeping
that.
that.
That's the best thing. Go throw a bag on the scale down there.
Yeah. You never know.
Yep.
Pull up the
We're
floorboard.
good. Well,
Right.
I get a sense of some freshness and some vitality and some excitement and that we're moving almost into a new age, and I'm excited about that.
For sure. Well, good job. Thanks for the report.
Thank you.
Braden.
Treasurer, I haven't seen the treasurer. Is she out there?
She's gone today and she didn't give me a report.
I cut a deal with her. We don't need to have the report.
Yeah, well, she'll have it to you by the 10th. By law, she has to have it to you by the 10th, so she'll have it to you by then.
Sounds like a plan.
Or she'll give it to me and I can email it to you.
But I asked her the question about every 6 months or every quarter. She says up to us on the ones that are not. Okay.
Yeah, she has to give you that, physically give you that report every month, but as far as, well, she doesn't come in here to
Gosh,
report.
what do it? All right. Vernon. Look, is he having a conference with Jack Jordan? Braden.
Good morning.
Morning, sir. How are you?
Doing well, thank you.
Good.
Well,
Good.
So what's new?
oh, just fighting the good fight. We're just looking for work. Looking for work. That's a very interesting idea.
Okay.
I stay awake late at night thinking about how to find more work.
I can't believe it. You're doing a good job keeping up.
We're doing well in the IT, just the day-to-day work. I know that, Jordan's been holding down the fort pretty well, and he's been tasked with doing a lot of audiovisual work for different entities here. So that's going well. One of our main thrusts right now, I was going to bring it up because we just started that conversation. So there's multiple filing cabinets in the back of the finance office, and only part of it is HR, human resources, and the majority of the voucher records are kept in Kelly's office or downstairs.
Mm-hmm.
There are systems to digitize all of that and create searchable indexes and whatnot. This is itemized lists of inventory and what is on our insurance and stuff like that. Things that has to be worked on, updated on a fairly regular basis. So talk to Braden. We can look at that in the near future, digitizing all of that and kind of downsizing some of this.
So means we have to buy the systems or?
No, it's pretty, if we have to buy anything, it's pretty inexpensive, but generally it's just access database stuff where we create a database and scan files into a device. So we did that with the maps a couple of years back. That was going on when I first started, and putting all those maps into a digital format so we don't have to, so it can be easily accessible and sent to realtors and whatnot. We've been talking about doing the same thing with Jackie's data so that all of those permits, all those paper permits that we have would be scanned in and with a searchable database. So rather than go back and finding the infamous red folder, remember that incident? Jackie talked about that quite a bit. So instead of trying to find a folder that was misfiled somewhere, all the data would be entered into a person's name and everything. All the changes would be easily tracked. So the same thing can be done with everything that goes on in the finance office too. So it's just a process, and it would become a project that it wouldn't be something that you'd want to do in a week or a weekend. It would be over a long period of time, but we could do it. So it is possible. One of the other things that we are looking at right now is we are, as Brady mentioned, we are moving away from the existing voucher system into an invoicing system because it's already embedded in the CIC software. And so we're going to be giving, and I'll go around to the different department heads. We'll be meeting with the department heads and finding out who needs access, who's doing the vouchering right now, giving them access to the CIC system so that they can enter their own invoices automatically. And then the finance office becomes a kind of a reconciliation, making certain that everything was entered correctly, rather than trying to interpret what this invoice means and was for, and they forgot where to put it in the account system. So we have to figure out which account number it's going to come out of. It's very interesting.
Yeah.
So,
because really our vouchers are invoices to a form, right?
Yes.
I mean, that's how the county gets in, not from the vendors necessarily. They send us invoices, but those invoices get translated to a voucher currently.
yeah. So let's say we get an invoice from the gas company. You get the invoice comes in and either arrives at a department's desk or in the finance desk. Then we will someone will take that invoice and we will enter it as a voucher, which is really an invoice to the finance office to pay it.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So we're entering multiple. So then I just follow that train of thought. We take that invoice, which has been entered in as a voucher. We take that voucher and we enter it into the computer system. We then have to go through a complete reconciliation process to print the checks, which has been approved by you guys. And then we print the checks and mail them. Now, if we can cut out a few of those steps, we eliminate a lot of little errors and a lot of the tedium. And it makes it a lot more streamlined because we have stacks of vouchers that are rubber banded together. And it's always fun going, oh gosh, last year we spent how much? Oh, I need to find out exactly what account that came out of. Now we can just go in and 10 seconds. As a matter of fact, you mentioned finding out how much money was left in an account.
Right.
It took me 45 seconds to find out exactly how much money was in an account for someone at the sheriff's office to make certain that they had enough money to do what they wanted to do. Just boom, 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 done, and it was fantastic. So every time an invoice is entered in the system and the checks are run, that money is automatically deducted from that account. You can set encumbrances, you can set levels, threshold levels to make certain you don't go a certain level in case you need something later on in the end of the year. So it's a much more streamlined process. The other thing that we've been doing is those reports that you've seen, we are formatting, we can make custom format reports for the paper of record. When we publish our reports at the end of the month or the beginning of the first part of the month, we can actually create customized reports so that they will have the pertinent data and they don't have extraneous data that they don't need. So it's great. It's really nice. And it's part of the crossover between the finance and the IT side, just keeping everything straight. So
Good. Do you have any comments about potentially relocating the finance department, wherever that might be?
well, this is a nice office.
Wherever the courts go.
Sorry.
If we leave here, we're going in there.
Oh, there you go. Okay.
Everybody's got their own little deal here.
Yeah. We can flow. We flow like water. Electrons, really.
IT stuff going upstairs wouldn't be a deal breaker.
No, it wouldn't be a deal breaker. All the data cables are accessible up there just as they are where we are. In theory, we could even go to, if you wanted to go to the annex, but it would be a pain because we'd have a microwave tunnel. Yeah, exactly, between the two buildings, but it would be better to keep us in the building. So we don't have any, as long as we don't go downstairs.
I was going to say, at the banks, the finance, all the people that reconcile everything, they're down in the basement.
Yes.
Poor Braden.
Put IT and finance down in the basement. a fight with the spiders, and yes,
I'm afraid.
I've already had nightmares about being in a jail cell,
Yeah,
working in the finance department. I mean, I don't need nightmares about spiders now. Come on.
I don't think our insurance company would ever support us going downstairs.
I don't think so. No.
Cool.
All
Okay.
right, anything that's in your budget that you were presented before, any other ideas? You bought everything you're thinking we're gonna buy?
Oh, I'm sorry. How do you mean?
Well, you had some ideas for drones and.
Oh, we're not even
I'm
worrying
not
about that.
considering
Right now.
that. I'm just wondering, it seems like you had the other upgrade.
Well, if we get more COVID money, that's another story. We'll take off the IT hat and put on other hats. But no, I think we're good. We have some expenses at the first part of the year. We're just going to try to, glide through the year and make certain we keep everything above board. So
Good.
Well, I got a couple questions, if I may,
Go ahead.
Chair. So initially, when we tagged you as an interim finance person and moved Jordan to IT, do we need to stay in that format for a while longer?
I believe at least through this month.
Okay.
There's still a lot of work to do in the crossover conversion. One of the biggest things that we're going to be doing is we're going to be training all of the department leads that need to be working with the voucher system. And that's not something that Braden needs to be doing while he's handling finance and HR. So that's going to be on a huge portion on me. Because I've been going through all the training. The other part is the reconciling of the finances, taking the old journal entry system that we've had that I worked with in March and April, and putting that into the new system and finding ways to reconcile all of the data. For instance, we still have people in the county that do handwritten records of their finances and then deliver them to the finance department. A huge percentage of the finance information was literally pencil written and then typed into the system by hand that is not in there right now. So for over the next month, that's a huge part of my job, is to make certain all of that data gets entered into the CIC correctly so that we know how to do it moving forward. Next month, it's going to be a different story, but that's this month right now.
And my second question is,
Yes, sir.
would you give some thought to, this is really a question for all of us, to see if we could tie in a large generator to run this entire building
Okay.
to COVID?
Okay.
Because I think if we move forward, there may be an opportunity to fund that out of the American Rescue Plan money.
I could put together a proposal, absolutely. Because it does relate to actually three aspects of our work here. So as well as the work that I do with the coroner's office.
I should have asked the same thing to Dr. Brown yesterday.
I thought
We need a
about it.
generator over there as well. Which would be easier sell with public health maybe than this whole building, but we'll
I
see
don't know,
what the
I
guidelines
see
are
the
too.
guidelines are gonna be something.
Yeah, I think everything's up in the air right now until we get. Right now it's a promise, and it's
Lots of ways, it depends on what we find out, if they're gonna
Yeah.
stick us with something, but
Mhm.
right now, you could look at it like a county been devastated by COVID.
right.
A lot of people that need to be recovered, and so it's like a new seed bed and make it grow. Now, some of that could be infrastructure, even roads. You could make the case that says in order to rebuild and get the economy going in the county better, you get better roads, tie it into that. Well, maybe the same thing can be true with infrastructure for other things.
Fiber, some counties used it to buy fiber for their school.
Right. That's
That type
what
of
I'm
thing.
trying to get to, is
Okay.
some way of looking at it so that it's gotta be right. Otherwise, I don't know, not just this county, it's the whole the states at large. There's a lot of money they dumped on it.
Right.
They gotta have this, they can't have it too constrained to show me the receipt that you bought free masks,
Right.
like
Exactly.
they did on the last time.
Understood.
Yeah, I just bring it up as a possible.
Yes, sir. I believe that it
Might be.
can and should be done.
Good.
That's all I have. Thank you.
Yeah, that would be required. I can see a cat engine out there driving a huge generator.
There you
You
go.
talk about noise
There you
now.
go. Exactly.
Look out.
Well, when I was at EMS, we did get a grant for a generator that would automatically kick in when the power went out. It was really nice because we literally had an old hand generator that we pulled. And if the power went out, we would use that to open the garage
Plug it
doors to
into
get an
the
ambulance out.
Right.
So it was
Yeah, it
not, and that's all it was for. It was, so when the auto kick-in generator went in there, both and at the sheriff, it was just a night and day difference.
Yeah,
It changed the
good.
dynamic for all the computers and everything. So
Yeah, well, I think we'd be remiss if we don't try to address that.
When we went more, we just pulled the rope and throw the door open by hand.
well, there is that too. Yeah, that was always the option.
But that's how, what more.
We're old school down
Didn't
there.
have any motors on the doors
They wouldn't know
anyway.
what to do.
Yes, but an EMP blast would never affect you. So
Yeah.
there you go.
The only guys breathing anyway.
We'd still be out there working our
There
merry.
you go. World War III? What World War III?
Hadn't heard about it.
Where did everybody go?
Right.
Good.
Anything else,
Anything else?
gentlemen?
All right.
I'm good.
Thanks. Thank you,
All
sir.
right, we'll keep on keeping on.
Okay, thanks.
Thanks very
Hey, Mr. OEM, you're up.
No break.
No break.
Morning.
Actually, I can get it up.
You want to get one?
No, wait. I'll wait till you're done because you're fast.
All right. Well, you
Hint.
Well, good morning. You have my report. I just wanted to just quickly go through things. I really do love the new accounting system that Burning is coming up because it really gives you your information. We have submitted our grant requests for the first quarter in the amount of $7,900. We received $38,000 for the Homeland Security grant, and that was the grant that replaced the coroner's vehicle. And so that check has been deposited. I've expended 17% of my budget year to date, or $21,000. So there's $103,000 remaining.
How many dollars?
Second line.
Second
Oh,
line.
there it is. Sorry.
We are still in the process for the Oem Vehicle Grant. However, they have a new director in Denver, and the new directors look at things differently. And so they're looking at allocations to counties a little bit differently. So we could lose out on that particular grant. Just want to bring that to your attention.
You're talking about the vehicle.
The vehicle grant. The way that the new director might be looking at it is that he wants to allocate money to all 64 counties instead of allocating money to first come, first serve. So if he shifts that, then we could lose out, and we'll just have to deal with that.
Where are you in line, you know?
Well,
Number five.
we'll go from second in line probably to wherever, because we were second in line. If he changes the policy, then we could fall out.
You have no idea when he's gonna make a
He was
decision.
supposed to get back to me yesterday. He did not. So that's an interesting tell there. Usually that means they're still negotiating. So we'll have to see. I'm hoping to hear something before the end of this week, one way or another. This walking down things, I put a star by April 2nd. And basically that information, what's important there is the Pharisee Ford has said that they will stand by their quote of 24,000 on the existing truck, and they'll allow me to drive an additional 10,000 miles.
Good.
And so they're going to hold by that. And that just shows there is just not a lot of used vehicles out there right now in the marketplace. And there's not a lot of new vehicles coming in. So it's nice that
So that 24,000 is a dollar.
it's a dollar figure. Yes, sir. I admitted that
No
dollar
problem.
figures. And then the 10,000 miles, that should easily be within our realm.
So if I may,
Yes, go ahead.
in regards to that, then, if everything goes through and you go down there and say, yes, we are ready to trade this vehicle in for my new vehicle, is the new vehicle available?
It's got to be built, and that's kind of the pressure. That's how I've been pressuring Denver, the USDA grant, is the longer they delay, the more difficult it is. And we may be going into a 2022 instead of a 2021. But having said that, Ford has already built a lot of trucks and they're sitting there because of a chip shortage. And so once the chips come in, they'll put those ships and then there'll be a flood of vehicles onto the marketplace. So it's kind of, your question is an excellent question. It could put us into a different model year, but they have such a large inventory of trucks that they cannot release because they don't have the chips. We might be able to get one of those.
Okay.
Right now, it'd be cheaper to own a vehicle than to go try to rent one at an airport.
You can't. It's almost impossible to try to get a rental right now.
That industry's out of control. Isn't it?
What used to cost you $179 a week is costing, $500-600 a week for a rental car. So the market's absolutely crazy. So I just wanted to note that under April 2nd, I had a start on April 6th. Just a reminder that we have, and please put it on your calendars, and you don't have to be there all day, is our SEPA assessment is on the 25th of May. And then we are starting, that'll be remote, but we'll set things up either at Lang Hall so that we can have a lot of people there, or in the SARS building for that day.
Do you have a time?
It's all day starting at 8:30 to about 4:30. It's
You
all
had a
day
note
event.
out here recently.
Yes, May 25th.
When is the next,
We're probably going to
Pre-training
schedule a
again.
briefing maybe for next week. I'm going to get around to see all the players Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. I'll give Michael a call on Wednesday to let him know how we're doing. And for those folks who have questions, we'll probably do a SEPA update briefing, maybe Friday of next week or Monday or Tuesday of the following week, just get everybody on the same page.
I will try to be able to attend more of that than I did the last one.
Okay,
I
thank you.
only got in there for a few minutes last time.
And then April 7th, with this more information on the follow-up of the USDA grant, because the housing market and it's so good in Custer County. We used to be in the 30s in terms of medium household income. We're now at 39,000. And when you look at grants, that does affect the percentage that you get on grants. The more wealth there is in a county, the less money that they're able to give. And so we went from a 75% cost share, which Silver Cliff was able to qualify for, down to a 55% cost share. So it costs us, we receive less grant money as a county than the two cities would receive if they applied for the same grant. On the, under April 12th, being aware that the county is in a position to receive between 962,000 and 1.1 thousand, I submitted a few items that I think would be important for us to utilize some of that money for. I've said that I would suggest that we use a portion of that money, the $16,683, to reimburse the county for the temporary hires for COVID. And then we would be able to do that in housing. We wouldn't have to go out of house to get that money. I also suggested that the money the county expended for the EOC in a box, which is a mobile EOC, because we are unable to use the other designated facilities like Wet Mountain Fire, that we reimburse ourselves that $6,500 that went for that. I also suggest, because we have a communication problem between public health and emergency management, that we use a portion of that radio to replace our 15, 20-year-old handy-talkie radios. And so I've included $27,000 to that. Those radios are not cheap. So I put in a proposal of $27,000 replace public health and OEM radios. We ran into communication problems. You know, when the generators don't work, we don't have generators. When the power goes out, we lose our ability to have Wi-Fi access as well. I'll be beta testing the Starlink system. There are several folks in this room who will be beta testing Starlink. And so I've also included a proposal to purchase 7 Starlink systems, 2 for OEM. One will be a portable system that we could set up on the vehicle and have internet access in an emergency. One will be on the building, 1 for public health, 1 for IT, 1 for the sheriff's office, and 1 is for SARS. And those are satellite systems that allow us to pull Wi-Fi from space and utilize it. And we can use that for like Wi-Fi dialing. So if you have a cell phone, but you're not able to do that, you could connect and make a phone call through the Wi-Fi system. And they're developing a smaller system, a portable system, which be somewhat similar to what you get on a motorhome. If you wanted to watch satellite, you're running down the road, it's a more automated system where that would provide that vehicle with total communications, even in the event of a mass failure of communications. And I put in $5,000. So there's a total of about $55,183 of proposed projects for that money coming from the federal government.
So that, you say here that the OM budget for expenditures, that's coming out of your budget?
Yeah.
Or that would be grant dollars going through your OEM?
Well, I already set aside $6,500 for the ELC in the box out of my budget for that year. What I'm suggesting is that we reimburse OEM for that amount. And because of the shortfall in the vehicle grant, that money then would be available to apply toward the vehicle grant.
Got it.
And then, you know, on a different note, what I would like to have you just consider, because vehicles, there are certain things that are on a replacement cycle. And in other places that I've worked, we've had a special budget item for like vehicle replacements. It's a long-term item, so that if I knew I was going to replace a vehicle, let's say every 8 years, I could be putting some money into that replacement budget account so that when you need to buy a vehicle, you don't panic. You have a budget long-term that you can do your cost shares out of, because most of our vehicles are purchased on the cost shares. And then when we want to purchase, we don't normally have the money available. But if we set some money aside in a special account, savings account, then we could do vehicle replacements out of that. And that's just off a side note.
So why aren't public health, IT, and sheriff's offices, SARS buying their own Starlink? Why is that going through your deal?
Well, it's not actually going through my deal. I spoke to IT and I spoke to SARS. It's just something I've identified. I mean, they could come in alone or we could do it together. I just said, okay, if we have this money.
It's a system you could do.
It's a system that we could do.
All of them ought to be doing it.
Yes, because it's important not only for me to have radio communication, but it's important for the sheriff's office to have communication and public health. So I just put it under the umbrella, Tom, just to have it there.
Yeah, I just think those individual entities, if that's what they want, then they should be paying that through their own budgets, not through OEM.
Or pooling it, giving it to you to hold, or you give it. Somebody needs to buy it for the 3 entities currently.
Yeah, now realize that $5,000 are purchasing those things. The money isn't really coming out of the IT or the OEM budget. It's just a proposal of how we could use some of that special monies.
Are they thinking about it?
Yes, we've talked.
Okay.
We have talked.
But you're saying here you budgeted $5,000 to buy those 7 Starlink systems out of your budget OEM. My question is, why aren't those entities budgeting it for themselves?
Well, I hear your question, but it's not. This is more of a wish list
So did you budget money?
No, it's not in the current year's budget, but this is, let's say we received the 962,000.
Oh, you're looking it up.
This is for the 962,000, and these are things that we could
So
purchase.
you haven't initiated anything.
That is correct. Nothing has been initiated.
Other people are looking at it too. And so if and when we get the money, there's ways we could allocate it.
That is correct.
Cost.
It's a wish list.
Okay.
So it's a wish list.
Yeah, the 962 threw me. I wasn't sure what you were doing, but when I read a little closer, you're
Yeah.
saying if and when we get that.
Yes, sir.
American Rescue Funds.
Yes.
Some things you would like to spend for
Yes.
that.
Exactly. Exactly.
Okay.
And it would be the same thing to use that money to replace the money that we've already
I was
spent.
wondering where you were going to.
For those positions.
You lost me on that.
Yeah.
statement. I
Wasn't
understand.
clear about that.
Okay, well, thank you. Thank you for asking that.
You got 2 minutes to clear up everything else.
All right, the only thing really remaining is I'd just like to have you note, because each of these are being held in the various commission districts, if you will. May 8th, we have a workshop scheduled for fire mitigation here in West Cliff.
Right, we talked about that yesterday.
Yes, the 3 of us are taking shifts. I
Okay,
get the first shift.
very good. And then finally, let's see, I think that's pretty good. The only thing that we have left is there's some contract documentation for you to sign, and that's under new business.
April 23rd, second sentence, okay, reuse of J&J.
Oh, that is the Johnson & Johnson
Oh.
vaccine. That was approved on that. CDC has okayed that. And that's all I
But there's
have.
not going to be any takers on it.
Well, I mean, the trend is downward. They hit us up pretty hard yesterday and how we should be developing public relation campaigns to make folks aware that vaccines available, but in all the surrounding counties in the South region, people are not signing up to receive the vaccine.
Yeah.
Well, I had 3 questions written down for you. I think you've answered those. One was, where's the money going to come from eventually to pay for this contract labor, part-time help? It's really a public health question, but you were involved in it to do the whole COVID thing. We clearly would be able to reimburse all those expenses through that American Rescue.
Yes, sir.
And then I was going to ask you, and you just answered it, but it didn't. For some reason, that 962 figure, it's not what it is. It's a different figure than that, but I was thrown. Thanks for clarifying that. I think we probably need to take a hard look at a vehicle or 2 to be purchased out of that money as well. Again, we got to tie that into COVID, but I think that could happen. And then also I had noted here on my list of questions is to pay for that EOC in box and get it equipped with whatever needs to go in there.
Right.
And then I think we need to look at the same thing, public health, but that's another conversation. So
And I think just having talked to Cliff on that, they do need a vehicle to be able to pull that big trailer that they have and to move their stuff around.
Yeah, he's brought that
and
up.
personally, I think they need another trailer to set it up as a COVID mobile response unit.
Something similar.
So that's the kind of things that money's designed for. So
And they'll need radios for that as well.
Yeah.
So very good.
thank you, sir.
Right, thank
Thank
you.
you, bud.
All right.
Thank you.
Let's see here. It's break time, I think.
Do we want to deal with the first one first since Adrian's
Actually, he's
here,
here,
and
man.
then go on break, or you want to break?
No, I don't need to break it, other than if he wants to bring, hand it back there and pour some coffee first.
Well, I've never done
That's
this.
the only reason I wanted to take a break. You want to talk new business, bring the
Do
coffee.
you want it black or do you want?
Yeah, black's fine.
Anybody else?
Got a coffee.
I'll wait till break time.
So I'm okay to move on then.
Yeah, we'll bring that up.
You have those contracts.
Thanks.
So the packet looks really big. You guys have that in your.
Go through our agenda to.
Yeah, let's,
Okay, very good.
Next, but we gotta go through the.
So, all right. continue. That was the last one of the reports. So any unfinished business.
I have none.
None here.
And the new business, this is options here now as we go through this, we'll allow public comment on each one of these. There's 3 items today. We'll consider signing a professional services agreement with Synergy Disaster Recovery LLC is our first item. So you've got the data on that, then, Mr. Washington?
Yes, so back on April 5th, you guys approved the awarding of the contract to Synergy in the BOCC meeting. This is just a finalization of that process. And there is a professional services agreement that we put together, and we just need to sign that professional service, which formalizes the relationship with Synergy. And so on the last page of that, Commissioner Kanda, is a place for you to sign.
Go ahead and tell us about it first.
And so it's basically just an agreement. It says this agreement regarding provisions of professional service dated as of April 7th between Synergy Disaster Recovery in Custer County. And basically it refers to that they will do all the things required in the request for proposal, and that we will pay them accordingly as we have specified in the request for proposal. And we'll do that by check.
Tongue in cheek. This has something to do with COVID, correct?
No, this has nothing. I wish it. Well, I guess we tried to develop it. I had to make it. I'll have to look that over.
Appreciate that.
So you work with these guys to
Yes,
get the,
and Clint has looked at it.
We've already awarded.
We've already
already
awarded.
got it to them.
Yes. This is just a contract between the county and them. Yes.
Okay.
And so,
Clint did look at it.
yeah, he did look at it.
I would move that we sign the PSA for Synergy Disaster Recovery to write the hazard mitigation plan.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to accept the professional services agreement as presented by.
To sign it, not to
Sign it, I should say. Yeah, and that was, there should be no issue with.
No, there's no issue at all. This just formalizes what we've already agreed to. And you can sign it now or you can sign it later.
I'll sign it as soon as we vote.
Okay.
Any other discussion? Okay, all in favor, say aye, Tom.
Aye.
Kevin?
Aye.
Aye here too. Kanda.
And so I have 3 copies of it. I'm gonna have you sign them all. One for Kelly's file, one for my file, one for their file. And then I have a copy for Tina just to have for her records.
And by consent, I would suggest we go on break while you're signing. You're the only one.
Go ahead, yeah.
signing, so.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Let's take 7 minutes. Come
Another
back
one
at
for
10.
you.
All right, we're back in session after our quick break, and our next business item is consideration of the assignment SDC, I don't know what that means, assignment SDCEA lease, site lease to Custer County. So it's considering the assignment of that site lease to Custer County.
From Custer County to Sangre de Cristo Electric
It
Association.
goes the other way on what we stated here, so it's from Custer County, it's the site transfer.
Oh, you know what? You're right.
It's us taking it.
Yeah, they're amending that.
Right.
I wondered how you came up with that, how you wanted it on there.
Yeah,
When you sent me the email, that's how she put it in the email.
that's what I
So
thought.
I think that's how do you have a copy of it? That's it.
Yeah, thanks.
I didn't notice if that one, I think you can sign that one electronically or
Yeah,
that way.
and there was a mistake on this, and I've got them rewritten. They just sent it today. She sent the wrong conditions. So we gotta, because I was looking at them, I said, this doesn't make sense. But I've got the new one, and I'll send it over to you to put in the package.
Do we need to look at that, or you can do that on your own?
I'll do that on my own. It's not, it's just boilerplate, basically.
What are they changing then?
I'll show you here. So it's number 3. You have a copy of it up there, Tom?
No, all we have is the letter.
Yes, you got the letter.
Sorry.
Yeah,
You scroll down.
Should have
Roman numeral
everything
3,
on there.
Yeah. On the bottom,
responsibilities.
sorry.
It says Exhibit A stipulations is what is different. Let's pull that up.
3 is responsibilities of the leasees.
Yeah, so Exhibit A and what she has the new piece here. And
Oh, we gotta scroll down to.
Again, no page numbers, so you're
no,
on
there's
your
no
own to
page
find
numbers.
it.
It's just numbers of paragraphs.
Exhibit A is one you're on.
Yeah.
Bill. And what number?
It's Exhibit A, and she gave us the whole thing, but what she sent in the email was, let me pull it up. It's the whole Exhibit A.
Is all new.
Yeah. And those are all the stipulations. So if you wanted to compare them, which I haven't done yet.
So there's 28,
And so this,
28 items on there.
yeah, there was, yeah, 28 hours.
So this is pertaining to the Sangre de Cristo Electric's lease, but they have nothing to do with this. This is BLM.
Yeah, this is the BLM.
And I didn't catch that. I
Yeah.
was thinking we were redoing the lease with Sangre de Cristo, but Sangre de Cristo donated that stuff to us.
Right. And
So we now own all that.
so
On
what
top of
they're-
around
Lookout.
Lookout Mountain up
So
here.
BLM's wanting to
and
amend our lease with them about the equipment. Sangre de Cristo
equipment's on there.
technically shouldn't even be mentioned in here
No.
because they're not owners of it anymore, but.
That's true. Anyway, that's, it was pretty straightforward, and it was nice of them to remember it.
And this is for the towers on TV Hill.
Mhm.
And a building,
So it'd be 2 buildings, 1 building and 1.
Yeah.
Yeah,
well, there's,
It's-
What do you call it? Shipping container up there.
Yeah.
With one in. So the new Exhibit A makes more sense. And I'll send it to you guys, just.
we've got a
Did you get the new?
exhibit A, but didn't know what they wanted to change.
Yeah, we've got the original. We don't have the changed.
No, and I'll give you the change here.
When did you get the
Just
revised?
this morning.
Okay.
Really pretty fortunate. Came in last night late. I'm gonna send that email to Kelly and you two, just so you got them.
So according to 7 on this exhibit A, any relocation, additional construction or use that is not in accord with the grant.
You talking about the new one?
No, I'm still on the old one, but I imagine it's in the new one.
Yeah, it is.
Would that include where we have KRDO and KKTV moving in and they are wanting to install a generator?
It would include it, but
We'd have to go through them,
We would need to
We'd have to
go
go.
to BLM,
the way I read it.
yeah.
okay, because that is BLM
Mhm.
ground up there that we sit on, correct? Or is it just the right of way to that?
It's the, it's the right of way in there.
Okay,
Let me forward this one to you so you got the correct one.
That's actually a pretty good question.
because we're right in the process of that. I've got Vernon giving me a list of the tenants in the building now, so I can forward that to those gentlemen because they are wanting to see if the tenants are wanting to go in on this generator for that.
Yeah, they may.
A backup generator,
Yes.
because we have power up there.
What's your email address, Kelly?
Yes.
Just Kelly?
Yeah.
And
The EY.
AT&T's got a generator up there already. I don't know.
But they're not counting on it to use
I
full
think
time, it's just backup.
That's just,
that's a backup generator, and that's exactly what they're wanting here.
You're getting it
So
by
that
yourself.
there's no problems when the power goes out. Like they're trying to cut down on phone calls.
Maybe you ought to make a copy of that and we'll put it with these hard copies, the new, that exhibit A that we sent.
Yeah, is the exhibit A the only thing,
That's the only thing that
and
changed.
is it separate from, so you can sign that one?
I can sign this
The
and
Exhibit A.
exhibit A just slides right into. Okay. But you need a hard copy of the exhibit A.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so I got that. Yeah, I'm trying to look up Lookout Mountain on the assessor's website.
It's probably not gonna be on there because of, it's not taxed,
Right,
so.
Yeah, it won't be.
but if it was
If you
BLM,
get in that, if you find somebody in that area, like if you look up Sugarloaf as an address, then you can get in that area and you can click on it and it'll come up. If that makes sense.
yeah,
Somewhere where you can pull up the map and then,
Yeah, and then you can go
Navigate.
to it, yeah,
that Sugarloaf Road or Drive or
circle or.
Road,
Road.
there's all kinds of Sugarloafers. Yeah, we went around with one of the landowners out there on Sugarloaf, i.e., what's her name?
Mhm.
So all we have is exhibit A that's changed and that's the guts of it, really.
Yeah, see, BLM land does show up on this map, even though they're not taxed, but
It will.
But you just can't-
You can't
can't
look it up.
Search on it.
yeah, it looks like that is BLM land.
And this is the one we were talking about and still they haven't, the question that's been asked of swapping county land for that BLM plot in order to make a part of a trails and a picnic area, part of the Custer County Trails Program.
From the looks of it, I would guess there's,
Coming up a 4-wheel on the south and west side, up to that.
yeah, it doesn't say, it looks like 500 or 600 acres in here.
Yeah, but that one piece, I don't know, they were able to talk about it separately, so I'm not quite sure how to break it up.
It's actually Bunker Hill Road that goes up there.
Yeah, Bunker Hill, yeah, that's right.
But good question, I hadn't thought about it, Kev.
yeah, our
So say the
They're
question
two totally
again.
different ones. The old number 7 is totally different than number 7 on the new one.
Yeah.
They were talking about any relocation, additional construction or use that is not in accord with the grant shall not be initiated, but I don't know what the initial grant was on it.
So this one's saying the holder shall conduct all activities associated with the operation and termination of the right of way within the authorized limits of the right of way.
So what is you got the new number 1?
Yeah, you've got it now.
I do too, but I'm gonna read off the old one and
Okay.
number 1, holder shall comply with all stipulations. Is that the same?
Hold
Number one
just
on the
a
new
second,
one.
I'm trying to get to it.
Number 1 on the new one, it just says the officer. This just tells us the location of the office.
Okay, the authorized officer.
So is that, you were on 1 on yours?
Okay,
The old one.
so, yeah, that's not numbered on mine. So what's your next?
Number 2 is in the event of public land underlying the right of way encompassed in this grant or a portion thereof is conveyed out of the federal ownership and administration of the
Right away.
right of way, or the land underlying the right of way is not being reserved to the United States.
So those
Patent deed.
are two totally different
Totally different
documents.
documents.
And they sent you this new one wanting for us to consider it instead of the old one?
Yeah, that, she said that was the wrong one. This new Exhibit A is the correct stipulation, she said.
I think, should we go through?
Well,
them?
now we have 2 Exhibit As, the old one and the new one.
Right. And so the new one is the correct one.
And according to her email,
And it says April as opposed to June.
sent her on the stipulations, please replace the one I sent with this one.
Yeah. Just get the one that Exhibit A, June 19, you can change it out. It's a completely different number for the right of way grant as well.
Well, I'm of the opinion we probably ought to hold off on
Can
this.
take a look at it.
Look at it and
I would like to be able
especially
to
where
read
it's
it. There's a lot,
significantly
there's a
different.
lot
Well,
of
it's
here,
significantly
totally different documents.
And they're talking, that's right. And they're talking about things like, how you handle things if you dig up a dinosaur bone,
Which was in the old one as
Right.
well,
Similar.
but I think
Details.
being they're 2 totally different documents, I would
Yeah.
not be comfortable signing on that.
Matter of fact, neither, and even the formatting on the new one, that paragraph 4 is all busted up for some reason on the new.
I would move to postpone this item until May 19th, our mid-month meeting.
Second,
It's been moved and seconded to postpone this. On the May 19th one, I may not personally be here, but I'll do it over the Zoom.
The only reason I didn't move it to the end of the month, I thought they're probably gonna want some action on this sooner than later. It's the only reason I said the
Let me
19th.
call them up. We may.
But we can do it either way, so that'd give us time to read it and have Clint look at it.
Yeah. Well, we sent it to Clint. I think I did.
This new one.
I'll send the new one to Clint too.
And so the point being, the one that says July 2021 is the new one, not the one that says June. So we look at them and go, well, June's would be the later document, but that's not the case.
No, it's April on this one.
April, yeah.
Yeah.
So thanks for
And
saying
it says
that.
it says 2019 as well
Oh.
on the other one, so it's
Okay.
outdated one. So this is the 2021.
So I'll save this one you just sent us to May 19th if this motion passes. Okay.
Right. I'm good with postponing. If we have to postpone it later, I can sign it later. Let me call her and find out what their timeline is. It can't be too much because she let it go for a long time. She didn't get me the original letter that I sent out to consider this until, a couple, 3 weeks ago.
so, and I would be good with either date, but
Okay.
we can schedule it for the 19th and
All right, all in favor of moving this to the 19th meeting of the BOCC to consider this, say aye. Tom?
Aye.
Tim?
Aye.
Kanda, aye.
And I would request that maybe I did this, I don't know. I thought I just moved it into this file, that it's not the Sangre de Cristo Electric Association site lease. It is truly Custer County.
How does she state it here? We state it the same. It's the communications use lease. Let's just call it that.
Right.
And that means, you know, that's the lease. It's all encompassing, Kevin, so that we cover any of those users.
Yeah.
We're the primary leaser.
Right. We're doing it for everyone, and we're charging other people for the privilege of having us be their landlord.
Okay.
Okay, it's been moved. And you got the rename, right?
Did we vote on that?
Mhm.
Yes, we did.
Yes, we did.
Okay, next item. Consideration of a site lease, see, that's the confusing piece too, with Colorado Central Telecom Incorporated. And that's the antenna on the roof. And Vernon, you got anything to add into this?
I don't have anything to add, sir. This is basically the same contract that we had before, but I had it amended to, instead of a minimal rent, they're giving us extra backhaul data on another fiber line so that we have an additional backup.
So you want to make sure that's included.
Yeah, that's
Somebody
included.
would
That's
disavow
included.
or giving us the freebie.
Right, exactly.
So the modifications actually came on our end rather than their end.
Well, no, there's nothing changing. I mean, well, I'll run a Cat5 cable in the basement, but there's nothing changing in our systems. They're going to give us some extra data through another line of fiber so that we have a more.
So you're recognizing that as opposed to it's not known on the paper.
Now it is.
Now it is.
No, it is.
The modifications in the contract.
Okay. I'm sorry. I thought you were talking about technical
So, yeah.
modifications. I apologize. Yes, the modifications are on the contract now.
Why would an IT guy think I was talking the technical stuff?
I have no idea, sir.
Because he talks in ones and zeros.
That's right. Exactly. It's all just data points to me.
Thank you. I appreciate
In
Yes,
that.
this one that you gave me,
Yes.
two that are highlighted,
Uh-huh.
were those highlighted for a reason or?
I believe that those were the little changes made from the last one,
Okay,
from the original.
so have you got this document that we can unhighlight those on the one that Bill signs?
Why don't I go print that off right now?
Okay,
Well, those were sent to you with those highlights, right?
Yes.
That's probably why.
Yeah.
Yeah, once
Those
you do
were
that,
the
we can
changes.
sign
I
it.
will go grab I'll go print a new document.
okay, and really I only need the first and second page
Okay.
because the other two are fine.
Understood. Will do.
Thanks.
Yeah.
So 1C, number 5 are the ones that got changed.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it looks like I don't know if he even raised those or not. It looks like an actual yellow marker to me.
He should have.
No, it's,
Is that
this
one
is
you
what
can do?
Tom and I were working on the other night on that one, on the zoning resolution, trying to get that.
Trying to get that out of it,
And
you
so
can.
Yeah,
'Cause that sure looks like a pen mark to me.
it's not.
On the printout, it comes out all of it highlighted instead of like it is on your document probably.
Yeah.
Because mine looks like a watermark in the background.
Okay, any issues with this, we can vote on it. If there's any other discussion. We haven't made a motion yet.
Trying to pull it up, sorry. I was about 3 pages in on another document, so.
Well, this is short, so I will move that we accept this new lease agreement that includes in writing the electronic backhaul that Vern was talking about. Capability. It's not in the old one. Second. Okay, it's been moved and seconded to accept this site lease for the communications equipment with Colorado Central Telecom. Any other discussion on it?
I'll let Tom go ahead and make sure he got it ready.
You got it up?
Yeah, is he bringing
He's
a
just, gonna-
different one to sign.
he's just gonna reprint, he's gonna get rid of the highlight
Got you.
and reprint. those.
Reprint that page and then insert it.
A clean copy.
Yes.
It's not the side that we
Yeah, ours is PDF. We can't do anything.
can't do a thing with this one.
Uh,
Although Jordan has the magic technique.
Jordan's just magic.
I know he can do it.
Yeah, it appears to be on the copy I had that was a highlighter used, not
Sure does look like it to me
not a
too, Tom.
computer.
Probably because I
You see,
scanned,
yours
he
different.
brought me this and I
Oh,
scanned
okay.
it and
Yeah.
emailed it.
Yeah,
But you can sign this
Looks like a
one.
squiggly line.
look at how our copies come out.
Yours looks different.
Mine is.
Oh, yeah.
actually
See,
a
it's
little,
not, doesn't look
Yeah.
like.
Doesn't look like
Doesn't
that.
look-
That's why I say this looks like a real
Yeah,
magic.
no, if you look at that one, then you can see what I'm
Yeah.
talking about.
So this is actually the computer doing it?
Yeah,
We figured out how to undo that finally.
yes.
Hold your tongue just right and your
Well,
cock in your elbow.
you gotta click on an icon that doesn't, there's no natural tendency for you to select that icon, but that's one of the reasons I sent out the wrong revised final version of the short-term rentals, because we were in the middle of trying to do that.
Oh, trying to get rid of the colors that were already on it. All right, any other discussion? Because this doesn't change the lease.
Yeah, if there's no wording, change in the
wording.
wording of the lease, thank you, sir.
How'd you do that?
I have the,
You have the software that'll do it, right?
yeah, I just had the Word doc and I took out the highlights.
Thank you.
Vernon, so there was one on the back page too?
I like Word.
Or did you just copy the whole thing?
PDF.
There were 4 pages and I just did
You
double.
just
sided.
redid it.
I like Word documents.
Kelly,
better than PDF. We get a mixture.
Do you already have a signed copy?
No, but we were gonna sign,
It's okay, just sign the
Yeah.
one.
I got the real one now, so it doesn't
Yeah,
matter.
we can throw that other one away.
This
quick.
one, all of the back pages probably the same.
Yes.
Okay. Any other
And
discussion?
Is your increased backhaul stuff in this document, in
Yes, sir.
that document now?
In this one it is.
Had
Yes,
an
it is.
agreement with them about,
Yep.
perfect.
I just took away the highlights, not the actual text.
Right.
So.
Okay,
Okay,
did we vote?
Did not yet.
not yet. I was getting ready to sign. though.
I thought
Better
you
do it
were.
before I do it. All in favor, say aye. Tom?
Aye.
Kevin?
Aye.
Kanda, aye. Now I will sign it.
And you're gonna deal with that, Vernon?
Yes,
Just
sir.
Send that back to them.
Mhm.
Okay, do you need a copy?
Yeah, when you get a,
I will.
after they sign and you get a copy back, I need a copy.
Will do.
And I think they were on board with that already beforehand, weren't they?
Yes,
I
sir.
think so. Per
Very
our,
excited.
per our conversations when he came in with us that day. He's doing all that and he didn't even have his tongue stuck out.
Day is today. 5th.
5,
Cinco de Mayo.
Cinco de Mayo.
Yes.
Okay, done.
Just waiting for it.
Gotta give them a
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
You're gonna get your copy from him, right? So, all right, that's the last of the new business items. Any other additional items of business that you all have
I
thought
have
of?
none.
Here, here. Public comment, anybody in the room? I think we're good. Nothing there. Reggie, you got anything you thought of during the meeting? Okay, anything online?
Not seeing anything.
Okay, there's no reason in the world why we can't adjourn. So I will adjourn this meeting.